I think Rory's project, which started off really quite small, 5 regiments, and we picked them to represent a cross-section of country and all that sort of thing, grew and grew and grew. He has a great passion for his work, he's a great historian, really a great love of soldier, and that chemistry comes out in the photographs. I've had a look at the book, I think it's fantastic, and I'm really pleased to have played a small part.
This is an exclusive preview evening of a project that's taken almost 14 months to photograph, so you can imagine the amount of work that's gone into it. I'm so glad to see some of the people who posed for the exhibition here as well. It's wonderful to see next to the finished work. I'd also like to just thank a few people. Firstly, I'd like to thank my wife, Alexandra, who's been very supportive over the past 14 months. Our apartment has been used like a airport runway, literally in and out the next, with suitcases going to Andover, Germany, Scotland, you name it, wherever the army has been, I have been. I'd also like to thank my parents, my mother, and I'd like to also thank General Everard for the opportunity he gave me to work with the amazing soldiers of the British Army. And I'd like to thank the 278 soldiers who posed for the project. An absolutely amazing privilege to work with them, truly amazing people.
The exhibition is absolutely phenomenal.
Fantastic project. Obviously it shows a lot of the different diversity that we've got in the British Army. Fantastic actual pictures themselves, and for me, obviously with One Rifles, we've got a few people in the exhibition, which has been great to see.
Photographing the full diversity of what is seen as the army of the 21st century. I absolutely love it.
The favourite picture that is not actually pictured downstairs is of the Bugle Major of One Rifles. Fantastic picture. The fact that he has his beard in the photo, and I know the history behind it, which is the fact that they were allowed them so that the metal didn't stick to their faces during the really cold times in Cold Wars, which I think is a fantastic piece of history. It's a great photo, and I'm sure he'll love the fact that I've mentioned it.
The one that was actually taken of General Everard, it just captures the man that he is, his sustenance, his will, and his strength, which he has been to hit the cause of diversity throughout of the British Army.
So my favourite photograph, of course I should say anything to do with the Royal Lancers, but actually I think there's a very striking picture of a member of the Royal Welsh slightly side on. And of course people say, well, no one's smiling. Well, that's not Rory's style. You know, he talked about his motivation, and I think, and actually he said tonight, you know, side on, looking very sombre. Royal Welsh is my favourite one to do.
Sam Morris, 1st Battalion Royal Welsh. Being a part of what is probably going to be the future's history, these photos are going to be shown in a number of different places, and maybe even inspire other people to either join or continue on with the army process.
We're biased because my son and her husband was one of the subjects. Alexander Walsh, he's a lieutenant now, he's a captain, and he's there in his combats, and he looks good. Looks really good.
Yes. I can't remember the name, but there is one of a gentleman that is taken from across his shoulder and looking out. I can't really remember the regiment that he's in, but I think it's an absolutely exceptional picture. The composition of it is beautiful. It doesn't focus too much on the uniform, but it focuses more on the man.
It wasn't just a picture of a face in a uniform. You could see that they were thinking about who they were and what they were doing.
Roy might look to also photograph soldiers with their families, because one of the stories that isn't told is that soldiering is a family activity, it's a family commitment. And so I think my favourite might be the pictures that he hasn't actually yet taken.
I love sort of big ideas that come from the minds of sort of energetic men but as I grow, I think older, I pay less attention to what people say they are going to do, and instead watch what they do. Yes, dreams may be the touchstone of character, but simply willing is not enough. People have to do. And it is deeds, not words, I think, that mark the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I think that too many initiatives, too many bright ideas are destroyed by a lack of resolve, crushed by self-doubt and fading perseverance. Remembering, and I know Rory loves his history, Charles Spurgeon, 1834 to 1892, the so-called Prince of Preachers, that it is by perseverance that the snails reach the ark. And of course we must not forget painful bureaucracy that makes the art of the possible impossible. And so bringing an idea like this exhibition to life with the Ministry of Defence can be like wrestling an octopus, or is it octopi? I'm told that octopuses is also acceptable these days, but it is difficult. It's not that defence wants to be difficult, it's just that we like templates. And if there isn't a template for something, then you have friction. And I think Rory has fought through the red tape with tact, charm, and diplomacy. He has certainly done the miles and the hard yards, showing that I can, I will, end of story mentality that we so like and admire in the armed forces. As he has worked to deliver this fantastic portrait exhibition, Soldiery. And indeed, I think when it comes to perseverance and quiet resolve, George Daw, who I know Rory mentions on his webpage, who between 1822 and 1828 painted 329 portraits of Russian generals who had successfully fought Napoleon. I think he would have been proud. Proof, I think, to quote Eisenhower, that it's not the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the fight in the dog. I regret that many soldiers would not recognise the inspiration behind Rory's work. For example, the German expressionist movement of the 1920s, who I am told used extreme distortions in expression to show an inner emotional reality rather than what was on the surface. But I think a soldier can spot selfless commitment, good humour and genius when they see it. And they know that a great photograph captures the humility of the moment. And I'm no art critic, but I firmly believe that these remarkable portraits, and there's just the tip of the iceberg you're seeing today, do open a window into the soul and character of the men and women of the British Army. What can be learned? I think that soldiering is a human endeavour and subject to all the pressures that shape human behaviour. That the armed forces are diverse, yet united by absolute loyalty to the Crown, common values and standards, and first-class training. I think we learn that all soldiers understand the importance of the Army core values: courage, discipline, respect for others, integrity, loyalty, and selfless commitment. Words that must be lived in order to generate the creative and fighting spirit necessary for success on the battlefield. I think in these photographs you see innocent eagerness in the eyes of the young, eager for combat, while the experienced soldier is more circumspect and measured, knowing how fragile is the gift of life, yet I think quietly confident in their ability to carry the fight. I think we also learn that the British Army is the most inclusive of organisations, and regardless of gender, race, religion or sexuality, all are welcome. Indeed, any individual can rise from nothingness to greatness in the Army, and many do. I think all that is required is that you give of your best and surrender the advantage of the individual to the common good. We also see that in the British Army we foster a fierce pride in the regiment. The uniform, the symbols, the accoutrements, traditions, songs and mascots all engender a sense of family, belonging and fierce commitment, and a knowledge that you can do the hardest things together and even derive a certain pleasure from the challenge. A pleasure to do with the certainty that no matter what happens, you are in it together and it will be easier that way. So let me end. I think each honest calling has its own elite, its own aristocracy based on excellence of performance. And I think that Rory sits in this number. A Jedi Knight on with a camera as opposed to a lightsaber, who as a leading British photographer has produced a spectacular historical record of the men and women of the 21st century British Army, and I congratulate him. Well done, Rory.
Rory's project really is almost a kind of unique record of where soldiering is in the 21st century, and really giving soldiers that sense that they have value and somebody wants to take photographs of them and record that for posterity is hugely important, not only for them but also for the National Army Museum, because hopefully we'll be able to put that collection on display.